Welcome to day one of the Agriculture and Environmental Science Professionals Workshop. My name is Semi Madalane, a trainee career guidance practitioner intern in the Student Counseling and Career Development Unit at Florida Science Campus, and I'll be your program director for today. Without any waste of time, let me call upon Ms. Mamashu Maboa to do the opening welcome and purpose of the day for us. Ms. Maboa is a student counselor in the Gauteng region based in Johannesburg campus. Ms. Maboa.
As I've been introduced, my name is Mamashu Maboa, and mine is just to give an opening and welcome and also the purpose of the day. I just want to indicate to you that you are all welcome to this event, and we are happy to host you today. This workshop is mainly for you students and also for the presenters that are here today. Today we are tackling the issues around agriculture and environmental sciences with our professionals in this platform. So this workshop is mainly aimed at connecting the professionals in the field of agriculture and environmental sciences with our UNISA students who have registered in the said profession or the said qualifications and careers, to impart knowledge to them. Most, or if not, all of the professions have their own dynamics and also challenges. But most importantly, we must also acknowledge that they also have their own successes. So during this workshop, the students will get an opportunity to engage and get to know more of these successes, challenges, and the dynamics within the profession of agriculture and environmental sciences. You find that sometimes you are registered, but you don't even know that you will need to register with a professional body in the field of your study, and only when you are qualified to get to know that. So this is an opportunity for you to actually get to know all these nitty-gritties, all these dynamics that are there in the profession that will also help you into navigating through the qualification. All the presenters that are here today, we welcome you and also want to thank you for taking your precious time to join us here today, all in the benefit of our students. And to our students, we also welcome you, and we want you to make the best of this opportunity. Make sure that you listen and get as much information as possible. For that, you will also be helping yourself into knowing more about the career that you have chosen, because we also understand that as career counselors, as student counselors, we cannot reach everyone for career counseling purposes. So for us to engage with you through this platform, we are also trying to bridge that gap that you did not have an opportunity to go through proper career counseling, and you meet the professionals in the field of your study. I would like to welcome everyone and also encourage our students to have their pen and papers ready to write all the relevant information that you might find helpful during the session. Please enjoy the workshop, but at the same time, learn as much as you can. You are all welcomed. And with all that being said, I would like to declare this workshop formally opened.
Please help me welcome our first speaker for the day, Professor Elizabeth Kempen from the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences.
Well, I'm Elizabeth Kempen, and I'm in the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences. I'm actually a consumer scientist, being in the academic environment for over 30 years. So I'm very, very old. Excuse me for that. but it's been a research passion of mine. I specialize in consumer behavior research, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the consumer sciences field. I also have a passion for teaching. I'm a researcher, and I enjoy engaging with students, so it was a real honor to be invited to be able to speak to the young and upcoming stars of our future. So I hope that gives you a little bit of background, and I hope I can share some valuable information with you today. Right, so I'm going to introduce you to the different programs that are offered and the different streams that you might be interested in when you study in the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences. So I'll be telling you a little bit more about what we offer in life sciences and what your career path would look like if you are studying for a qualification in the life sciences. And may I just say that this is one of the most valuable skills in South Africa, that we've got a terrible shortage of life sciences teachers in the schools. So I'm also going to give you a little bit more information on education as a career path as well, because many learners do not always consider that as an option, and we need to teach our society, and life sciences is one of the scarce skills in teaching. So what do we offer at UNISA in the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences, where the life sciences field is concerned? We've got these 5 areas consisting of 14 different streams or options of life sciences qualifications that you can obtain within our department. And when we look at the blocks of qualifications that I've put together for you in this way, you'll see that they have an underlying common stream or particular specialization area that's combined with different options. And we will be looking at what each of these options offer you as a job opportunity after you've completed a qualification in, for example, biochemistry in combination with one of these options. So it is a biochemistry direction or stream that we've got. We've got a botany specialization with options that attach to botany. We're going to look at this. Genetics is one of the other areas, physiology, and then microbiology. And you'll see that most of these attached specializations occur across these main areas that we've got in our qualification list. But I also want to make mention that when you have studied perhaps biochemistry and botany as a combination in a particular qualification, you should never forget that there is the postgraduate certificate in education in senior phase and further education and training that deals with the life sciences that you could teach at school. So just keep that in mind. But let us look at what we can find in terms of each of these qualifications and what they offer in further career development. Now, this is a very busy slide, but it shows you the complexity of a qualification. So within biochemistry, we are really looking at the chemistry of living organisms. And sometimes we can't see those organisms. Sometimes they're not human. But we can in the biochemistry, a component of a specific qualification. And as I said, they're connected. It's biochemistry with botany, biochemistry with microbiology. biochemistry with physiology or biochemistry with zoology, you are looking at a very chemical structure within perhaps the animal science field, which is zoology. So a combination of this qualification would give you a passion for animals. And if you look at the physiology side, it's also a passion for human studies, where you look at how the body works, where you look at the functions that we apply in being alive as a human, and then studying those very chemical structures within the human context. On a microbiological level, we are looking at microscopic organisms that we can't see. And this is where you'll find your viruses, bacteria, those kinds of things that we can't see with the eye, but they're there, and we can study their structure, and we can study through the biochemistry how they work and how they function, and how we can also possibly manipulate some of those structures. When we look at botany, it's a passion for the plant sciences. When you look out of your window and you see the garden and you see the fields, the plowed fields, and you see the crops and you see nature, that is part of botany. And we learn about how plants function. And if you combine that with biochemistry, you're looking at a very complex structure of the plants around you and how they function and how they work. And then you might say, but where do I work if I am intrigued with that very fine structure of plants? And I've shown you here that pharmaceutical companies, mining companies, health industry are all looking towards a student that has got a biochemistry and botany combination, because those industries look at how they can use plants and how they can also understand their functioning within those different areas and fields where plants matter. Health, for example, plant studies become very important because we're understanding the compounds, the structure of plants, and how they have medicinal features that we could use for health-related matters instead of fabricating drugs of another nature. So botany in combination with biochemistry offers you a lot of prospects. Microbiology is really a passion of many students because in combination with biochemistry, they can access the medical research field, looking at those pathogens that cause the outbreak of COVID-19. They can look at the structure of the viruses and bacteria that cause illnesses. They can also look into industries like municipalities that look at water waste management and the bacteria and how to eradicate or use bacteria for other purposes. So in the industries, in the food industries, these microbiological combinations with biochemistry, those people are really very valuable because they look into the effect of what the food industry, if you use a particular preparation method to put that developed product on the market, you look at the microbes, the bacteria that might affect that particular product and its shelf life. So there are many options within the food industry as well. Within the physiology, you are really looking at lots of biological research, but also in laboratory-based contexts. And many of these scientists with these combinations do end up in laboratories of food companies, in laboratories that can look at how those molecules or drugs work from the human side, what effect it has on human functioning and human cells. So you'll find that the pharmaceutical companies are interested in a person that's got biochemistry and physiology because they are preparing drugs and they are preparing advances to cure and to help health in terms of our population. Within zoology, if a combination of biochemistry and zoology comes up, it's really within the nature conservation area, looking at the finer structure of animals and how you can also use that to understand how they function and what to do to ensure that that particular species continues. So there are many different areas that biochemistry delivers on, and we know the Medical Research Council in South Africa and the Agricultural Research Council, Water Research Council, they're all looking for people with these combinations. But there are special qualifications that we've also got in the stream that is part of the biomedical sciences. And this is at the heart of healthcare. This is combining biochemistry within the focus of what we can do as health practitioners, as health care scientists, or medical sales representatives, also working as biomedical scientists who are really looking at the diseases, for example, COVID-19. So all the industries that work with that offers you an opportunity to enter that particular field. Biotechnology is really about a lot of life sciences, a lot about these different sciences, but working within the technologies that we use to understand many of our engagements with life, with products that we make, with drugs, with the physiology of humans and also animals and plants. And I'll show you this just to get you excited. So microbiologists are really very popular, and I'll show you how that's happened just through an advertisement of Coca-Cola, who's looking for a microbiologist who works with viruses, bacteria, but in the field of foods, for example, as a food technologist or as a bacteriologist, a virologist, looking also at fungi of foods and pharmaceutical industries, beverages, fermentation. When you think about SAB breweries, that's where you'll find a microbiologist. But they can also, from biotechnology, move into the fermentation sciences, where you work for the distilleries. SAB breweries is one of those. Or you can work, as I said, as a microbiologist to understand the fermentation process and the bacteria's involvement. And if you change a product in the food industry and you put another element into the development of that beverage, for example, how does that then work and how does it create bacteria that is either good or not good for you? So the bioprocessing, the chemical structures and the engineering of those beverages become very important, and biotechnology helps you to enter that field. You can also work in the area of just a technical sales representative, where you work for the particular raw product manufacturers, those that provide the ingredients for a manufacturer to put it into a baking product. It could be a different protein that your company manufactures, but you understand how it works and how you have to use it within the particular product that another company might be interested in developing. A plant pathologist is a very important biotechnology a person that's studied that area, because they can also be our crop scientists looking at the diseases of plants and what causes that and how to fight that. Our immunologists, those are the people that are looking at the bacteria and the viruses that affect human health, and they look at how to develop those drugs and the immunization that's necessary. They are microbiologists within the biotechnology sphere. Environmental biotechnologists are really looking and working in the chemical side of manufacturers, and those people, for example, Sasol uses those biotechnologists within their development of their products, but also how it influences the environment and things like that. So our food industries are also using the biotechnologist that comes from UNISA. So if you look at the botany field, it is really expanding a lot into the plant sciences with specific combinations. Here you can see a microbiology person who's interested in the viruses and bacteria combined with botany. Your plant sciences will be going into the food industry. They can work in conservation and forestry. They can work as crop scientists, developing plants, improving the plants. They can work as the cultivators of plants, in particular for landscaping, for our arboriculture, specializing in trees and tree diseases, plant breeding, as I said, plant production. Monsanto is one of those companies that uses plant breeders. So they develop new species to adapt to climate change, and that's what the farmers will be using. But it comes from an interest in botany and microbiology, or further on, if you want to combine it with zoology, which is really your animal sciences, it also brings you to nature conservation, but in combination with how your plants and the diets of your plant products that you feed the animals influence your animals' health and also their development. So there are many companies in South Africa that also use these combinations of botany and microbiology. For example, in our herbicide companies like EnviroBiochem, or the fertilizer companies like Kynoch, who are developing the fertilizers to advance plant production and our crops and everything that we use. On the physiology side, if you're interested in human physiology, the human being and how they function, you can combine it with zoology. This brings about a study of both the person and its combination with the structure of the physiology with that of animals. And that is where some of our veterinarian institutions look at the bodily function and the processes that happen in the animal, and looks at that physiology of the animal and combines that with what is necessary to improve the animals' well-being and also their continuation in existence. Those are zoos, game reserves, state veterinarians that are interested in the physiology-zoology combination. But many people who have got the physiology background move into areas like sports physiology, or they work in the pharmaceutical firms, or they can also, as I said, work in state departments like in the Department of Health, where we're interested to understand how all our environmental influences and what happens to people can be researched, and that we can understand that better. So there are really a lot of pharmaceutical companies that are interested in students who have physiology as their main component. But also, if you can combine physiology with psychology and genetics, it becomes an important area for also the genetic consultants, because the way in which our physiology relates to how our chemistry of our body works is important for pharmaceutical companies to understand, and how our DNA works, because that governs who we are and what we are able to do. But never forget that within this whole area of physiology, there's a career in teaching that also waits for you, because we are looking for teachers who are specialized in this field to take our learners forward. And here are some of the companies that are interested in people who have this combination to advance their development of foods and food products in the food industry. So the microbiologists I really touched on, and that's a very important area, especially in the physiology and the zoology combination, where you combine it with humans or with animals. And just last night, I saw an advertisement by Coca-Cola for a microbiologist. And you can imagine that that is within the foods domain. So they want to understand how the products that they are developing is going to be able to influence the human who's going to use it, who's going to buy that product. But they've got to understand how everything works in that food development side of their company. But never forget, this is an important area for our teachers to be able to teach the life sciences at school. And this is the qualification that goes with that. Now, if you're into the genetics, and that's the smaller structure of the characteristics of an organism, whether it is a human being or from the animal side or from the bacteria side. When you look into microbiology, you're looking at the DNA, you're looking at what makes up the characteristics of that particular organism in microbiology, or that plant, or that animal. And there are many institutions that really offer jobs, for example, as a conservation genetist. That is a particular area where you look at the genetics of the animals involved and want to make sure that they don't become extinct, that you want to preserve the characteristics that are specific to that animal. And you study that by working at some of our research institutions. And a lot of the work in life sciences is also laboratory based, at laboratories and institutions that do research. So you'll also see the plant molecular biologist is really interested in how this plant's DNA works and where we can perhaps engineer it, change it a little. How did GMOs start? That's plant engineering that took place to bring in genes from other good qualities, for example, to be able to be pest resistant and be able to adapt to climate change so that we can have crops and people will have food. So those are the interesting areas where people interested in genetics and botany can go into. And those are also our commercial seed companies that are interested in developing plant material that our farmers can put into the ground and have a successful crop, because people in South Africa are malnourished and we need to provide food that can be delivered with the changes in our environment and society that's happening. So you'll see that there are, with genetics, many different opportunities that you can take up in the clinical direction. As a clinical geneticist, you are a doctor, but it is not a medical field that we offer at this stage, but it can take you into that area where you can perhaps with further education can be elevated into that area as well. But genetic counselors are also important people who are able to deal with those who have a genetic defect, and those people have to cope with that genetic defect. And those counselors understand how the genetics works at a physiology level, and that is an important career option as well. So that gives us an overview of life sciences, working with people, animals, microorganisms, plants, and then depending on the depth at which your interest lies, there is the genetics, there's the biochemistry, there's the molecular field. So there are many different options, and with those basics, you can also enter into education. Now, let me just spend a couple of minutes on consumer sciences. As I said, I am a consumer scientist. And if we break this down, we look at the consumer, but we look at the consumer from different areas of specialization. And let me share that with you. So consumer sciences deals with the clothing and textile field, which we shortly brief as fashion. We deal with the foods domain, and then we deal with hospitality management. And in all of those three areas, you'll find you're a consumer. We'll find you there. We'll find the consumer in retail, in the fashion industry. You purchase clothing, you have needs, you have events to go to, and there's a whole industry that produces those garments for you. So students who are interested in fashion and textiles, and I'll show you where that comes in, they are the people that manage the clothing industry and bringing to you the latest fashions and trends that you follow on social media and through influencers. And we all need clothing. It's a basic need. But fashion is also a very wonderful income generating field. There are fashion designers, there are repairers, there are people who do upcycling of clothing to become more sustainable and save the environment. And they are our small business management students who set up entrepreneurial businesses where they can they can generate an income from a fashion-related area. So we deal with fashion, but never have I said to you, you make clothes. So that is the first thing you've got to realize. There's an industry behind fashion, and there's a business behind fashion. In the food area, we combine this with either nutrition, so you can do a food and nutrition qualification, you can do a food and clothing qualification, food service management, and food retail management. This one is being phased out. So the same for fashion. Fashion with small business management, fashion with retail management. Hospitality is all on its own. Let us see what we do here. The fashion retail environment I first want to work with. This is your industry. This is where you know your favorite retailers. They might be online, they might be physical stores. Truworths, Woolworths, Unique, Checkers has got a clothing store. And if you go into it, you have to do your own cashier purchasing. That is where we see the RFID system in Checkers. Now, our students, my students, have got a subject called fashion retail, and they learn about how does this retail industry work. But they learn about it because they're interested in clothing and textiles and the manufacturing that happens within this field. And retail has to do with visual merchandising. It has to do with textiles, fibers, finishes, how those textiles are produced, what qualities do they have, how can we manipulate the textile to deliver on a well-structured jacket that is weatherproof. You learn that from textiles and the textile science. So the retail industry requires people who work in that interest absolutely to have textile knowledge, but also to understand how fashion is developed. You've got production lines, you've got factories, you've got very important industries who make the garments that are being designed. And in South Africa, we've got to support local, because that's where our fashion industry production lies, because we need jobs in South Africa. So we have to create our fashion industry in the production side and open up our factories again. But you with a fashion retail management degree is suited to drive and work in the fashion industry. Now, what do you do as a retail management student in Woolworths? They've got fashion. You're either a fashion buyer. Those people go overseas and they select from the different shows and events and runways what the new styles and fashion is for the season. They bring it back to South Africa. They work as a team. In that team, there's a planner that has to be able to assist with the designs of the new fashion, take it forward to how many of those items have to be purchased. There's a stylist that puts the look together, because you see on the posters how the fashion items are put together. There's a stylist that works with that. There's a merchandiser that does the buying, the actual buying of those fashion items and puts the orders in and sees that they're distributed to every retailer in South Africa. There's a store manager that has studied fashion retail management, that works with the customers, with setting up the stores, with setting out the visual look of the different items within the store. They can also be brand managers for a particular brand. For example, you might have a particular Nachi is one of the smaller brands that is part of TFG. So you've got this whole industry that's waiting for you if you're interested in fashion, but you can also become a small business running a fashion design where you design and you produce, or you can take part in the retail, in the repair industry where you use perhaps second-hand clothing. But look at the variety of business subjects that you've got in both these areas to support you in understanding how business works. That's why you can find yourself in retail and working for some of these companies if you've studied fashion retail management or even fashion small business, because all of these subjects are covered in your qualification. That's aligning with what you do in a business context. Exciting. The food side is specific for those of you who are interested in foods, and I'm nearing the end now. If you combine it with nutrition, you'll find that it is what the food industry is looking for. Food retail also wants to understand the influence of food on the human being. What does it do to them nutritionally? What can they include in the food products that are good for you? How many kilojoules, how much fat, how much saturated fat is in the product? How high is it in starch or fiber, which is part of the nutrition that we understand in the total food area? So new product development, a very important component there in our food manufacturers. These are just some of them, and you see it on the product that you buy. Food quality and safety managers, entrepreneurs who make and bake and develop their own products and sell them. Quality assurance on the production lines of the manufacturing side are where food and nutrition is very important. So those are our possibilities. Industry is really where we are looking at. But food and clothing prepares you for the teaching of consumer studies at school. If you're interested in both, this also prepares you now for the teaching of consumer studies. We need you. We have so many schools closing consumer studies down because students aren't able to teach the content of consumer studies, which is about food, clothing. That is what it is about. And you will be expected with open arms. We need consumer studies teachers. Food service management. This is an interesting area. This is our food and beverage operations, our restaurants, our food outlets, our cafes, mass catering facilities where they plan for events. They have got an interest in students who've got food service management qualifications, but they can also teach in hospitality. They are also looking at food safety and quality for those big establishments that prepare food and sell food. Right, so remember the postgraduate certificate in consumer studies for food and clothing. Hospitality industry needs no introduction. This is where you can manage accommodation, you work in the restaurant sector, you do hotel front office management, you can be the director of housekeeping, food and beverage establishments, any restaurants, any catering facilities. They also take on hospitality management students where you cater, where you deliver on big scale food production, event planning is also part of hospitality, where you can go into that direction. But again, hospitality management is a subject at school in consumer sciences, which also needs as a subject specialist, which needs teaching, and hospitality management is one of those areas where we also need teachers. So I hope this has given you some indication of what you need to think about. I just want to highlight that the Health Professionals Council is one of those areas which the people with nutrition, food and nutrition, apply to be part of, to be acknowledged by that council, because it also works with the nutrition of people in different establishments. You can also be a nutrition consultant, but the Health Professionals Council is one of those fields where if you specialize in the nutrition in advanced studies, that it might be a good option to belong to that particular council. Thank you very much.
Where do animal science fit in? Does it fit in zoology?
It is not part of the life sciences specializations fields that we offer. We have got the zoology part in combination with other elements, but I think the animal science, you've just got to hang on for that presentation from agriculture. I see a question. So can further the studies with teaching in every course? Teaching is never included in the program streams that I've indicated. There is only one B.Ed qualification with life sciences where you have got teaching plus particular life sciences courses or modules that are included in that program, but it specializes you to teach the life sciences at school. So you will have exposure to some of the life sciences. I think there's botany and zoology included, for example, and physiology is there. So, but it is only a couple of the life sciences subjects that are combined with B.Ed. And the same goes for consumer studies combined with B.Ed qualifications from the education faculty at UNISA. So it is predominantly education subjects with a couple of foods, nutrition, and clothing subjects that you take as a specialized combination in the B.Ed qualification. We don't offer it. We only offer you particular streams. But if you've taken, for example, food and clothing, and you now want to go and teach, or genetics and physiology, and you now want to go and teach, or biochemistry and zoology, and you now want to go and teach, then you've got to the postgraduate certificate in education in senior phase and further education and training, and that will be in consumer studies. This is what I showed you here. This is what you do. It's a further certificate after the degree. And that you can do with any of your courses that I've shared with you now. We do not offer education courses, but we offer you a specialization field after which you can then do a postgraduate certificate in education, and it can be in consumer studies or hospitality or life sciences. I hope that's clear.
Our next speaker for the day is Professor Ryan Anderson. Prof. Anderson holds a PhD in geography and has been a lecturer at UNISA for the past 10 years. His academic expertise lies in physical geography with a particular research focus on gully erosion and its environmental implications. He currently teaches courses in geographic information systems and physical geography, which explore the dynamic relationships between society and the natural world. He is passionate about both teaching and research.
So what do geographers do? Geographers study the interaction between people, the environments within specific spatial locations of a time span. So the idea with geography, there's a spatial element, there's a place element to it, and there's a time element to it. The heart of geography lies in the curiosity of those who study the spaces that we live in and a constant need to discover, analyze, and explain the continuous change and the interaction between humans and the environment. And what I love about geography, it's situated in both the natural and social sciences, thus providing us geographers with a unique set of skills, especially when it comes to problem solving. The image that I've got here is just some colleagues who have worked or doing work with the drone. Drones are one of the new technologies that we have now at our disposal, in which we can get very quick spatial information of the surfaces of the landscape that we live in, and basically how the physical world interacts with us and how we interact with and how we impact the natural environment as well. All right. So there's basically three geographical subdisciplines, very broad, and basically these are noted as physical geography, which it looks at the Earth's natural surfaces, our landscapes. These are things like how rivers form, how glaciers form, how rivers, glaciers, deserts all impact our these impact landscapes, how the landscape changes over time. And, the landscape, for example, over the last several thousand years have changed in areas such as Central Africa or even the Southern African landscape. Then we've got the human geography, which is the study of how humans interact and how they shape the physical environments, including survival strategies, resource usage, regional cultures, contemporary societal issues, and spatial organization. And then the last one, the more, if I can use the word hip, or the recent subdiscipline of geography is that of geographic information sciences, which use geographic information systems, and it's a field that uses computer systems to capture, store, analyze, and display data related to geographic locations on Earth's surface, enabling us to make better decisions on managing our populations and looking after our natural resources. All right, and then this is a chart that I just want to show that the geography itself overlaps with a variety of other subjects. So whichever subject you're looking at doing, I know at least here in Ks and CSET, there might be more mathematics, physics, engineering, biology in those. There is some overlap with geography with these. And the great thing about geography at UNISA is that geography can be taken as an elective with a variety of certificates, diplomas, and degrees within the module itself. But just in terms of the broader picture itself, we can look at there's economics, politics, sociology, history, arts, home economics, all of these in one way or another. There's some overlap with geography as a discipline, and that's what I love about geography is the interconnected, integrated, holistic nature of the subject itself. And you can probably hear in my voice that I'm very passionate about this subject, and it's a real blessing for me to be an educator in geography. And I encourage you, whichever course or degree that you're looking at doing, consider taking some geography modules as an elective, or if you want to take it as a major, but I'll get to that in a moment as well. All right, the value of the geography modules in the degree is an important one. It develops spatial thinking. You start thinking of the world in a very spatial sense. You're not just thinking of the immediate world around you, but so your immediate location, but you start to see the world around you in a much greater way. As I mentioned, there's the integrated, interconnected, holistic thinking. You develop observational skills, you help develop mapping skills and understanding the implication of maps and the data they present. We're quite big on developing critical thinking about a variety of topics. And you develop, as you work through the geography modules in the degree there, a very broad knowledge base of a number of interrelated subjects. And one of the nice things about this is there's problem solving and analytical skills which get developed through the subject itself. And the other points as well is there's a multi-scale analysis. So if you think of the world around you, the room that you're sitting in, if you expand that up to the town that you live in, what impacts that, how does the weather impact the agriculture, or how does weather impact you on a day-to-day basis? What is the economy around in the area that you live in? And you take that to a broader, let's say, provincial level. If you, let's say, in KZN or Gauteng, what is the at a larger scale, what are the things that start impacting you in that? Is it the climate, sort of the macro economics, for example? In the news today, there's a lot of talk about climate change, and there's a lot of talk about the tariffs that Trump's putting on countries all over the world. All these have impacts on us at a local scale, at a broader regional scale, and at even at a larger national and a continental scale. These are the kinds of thinking that we expose you to and develop as you work through the courses. And last but not least, there are research skills which develop when you get into the particular subject. We provide you with the skills and equip you with the thinking into really getting into a subject, whether you're looking at, for example, soil erosion, or what is the impact of city growth on human movement, or something like that. So just as a slight digression, but there's famous people that either taught or studied or majored in geography. Mother Teresa taught geography, which I thought was quite interesting. Michael Jordan, the basketball player, he did geography. Prince William is still on the news every now and then. He's got a major in geography. And even Sir David Attenborough, the nature presenter that we see on TV sometimes. And Steve Irwin as well, the guy with the, likes to previously, wrestled alligators and, swam with stingrays and, held snakes and those sorts of things. Also had some interest in geography itself. All right, so getting into what can you actually do with a geography degree? There's a variety of things that you can take a geography degree and apply into, for example, town planning. There's cartography. These two go in hand. As cities develop, as towns grow, as there's communities, even informal settlements. There's some town planning elements that are involved with these. In terms of governmental positions, that's quite an important one. And this is linked to cartography, which is pretty much map making to one extent or another. If you consider when you go to the Kruger National Park, you open it up, there's a map on the first page. Someone that had some experience in geography or GIS was involved in making that. Maps are a big part of our lives, and having a geography degree could assist you greatly with that. Then surveying as one of the things, quite a big one, and a lot where the focus is these days is GIS technicians, or becoming a specialist in geographic information systems in one way or another. This is where geography is moving. This is the forefront of geography at the moment, is geographic information technology. And it's not just about making maps. GIS is also about managing large populations of large amounts of data. And in our own experience, we use GIS as part of a community project where we were looking at finding a school in Mpumalanga where we wanted to build a fog net, basically a structure that could capture rainwater and the morning fog to provide water for schools that didn't have immediate access to water. And we actually used GIS to firstly locate where the schools are, then locate the topography of it, and through about 5 or 6 different queries that we put in it, we eventually found a school in Shanoa that we did some. I was privileged to be a part of a community project there and got to meet the school children there and interact with them. It was a very special part of my undergrad. All right, as well, you can your degree has been very helpful if you're looking to be an environmental consultant, which in this day and age, environmental impact assessments are becoming a very important part of developments. And there's a large amount of legislation these days in which you are required to incorporate environmental consultants, that you're not impacting the environment negatively, or is where you're building actually right in a geographic sense, that you're not going to build on a landslide or something like that. And then one that's close to my heart is teaching. You can take your undergrad or postgrad and combine with the PGCE. And it's the special one for me to work with educators, and I'm currently developing a community engagement project in which I'm using Google Earth to provide resources for teachers in their teaching. All right, then some other ones that are less common, but emergency planners. This is where GIS again becomes quite important, as you want to manage large amounts of data, often in very short amounts of times. And for example, if there's flooding taking place, or the fires that took place in Cape Town a year or two back, then the link to that is crisis management. And as I mentioned, I discussed environmental impact assessments, which are becoming increasingly important. If I'm not mistaken, all developments in one form or another need to have some form of environmental impact assessment, even if it's just an initial one. But a lot of the, I can use the word, the money is found in this. But then in government itself, having geography involved in your modules will assist you in policy research, policy developments, and international relations. And you can use geography with other qualifications. For example, I know people that have a degree in geography and then they did a degree in law. And with that, it gave them a strong space to be quite a specific enforcement officer, but as well as in law and geographical consulting within environmental sciences. But geography, what I love about it, when you really get into geography and you really embrace it, it starts changing things. It starts to change the way you look around and how you see the world and how you see the planet. And the world becomes a richer and a more meaningful place when you understand the incredible integrated, connected world that we live in, and how us are changing the planet, how the planet's, changing us. And this is the part of geography that I really love, is getting into it. Initially, when I initially first went to university, I didn't actually really do geography. I just had it sort of as part of a course that I was doing. But as I started doing these geography modules, I fell in love with this discipline, and I decided, I'm actually going to change from the course I was registered for to a geography major. And back 15, 20 years ago. Just because of how I lived this course, and there's just some awesome things in geography. Some of the opportunities that I've had while studying it, well, not myself, but some of my colleagues as well, is there's studies in Marion Island. I've had the opportunity to go and do some research on rainfall in Mauritius. There's times that I was working in several South African national parks. One of the more weirder moments that I've had in my research is I was in a river that was a boundary between South Africa and Mozambique. I had this very big GPS backpack on, and I was trying to row across the river to try and get some points, but there's like crocodiles there, and we needed a game warden to come with us just to make sure that there are no elephants or lions that were going to charge us. But when you get into geography, you really get to explore some strange and wonderful places, and there's some epic field trips that I've been involved in. And more than that, geography really allows you to explore the world in your own context, which I love. And just a couple of pictures from my research. Over here, this is a sunset on Mauritius. This is me swimming by an interesting rock in Mauritius itself. A special moment for me, I was working in more of in an underprivileged area and explaining the world using Google Earth. That was a cool moment for me. It was cold, but it was great. This is us at a conference sitting on a dune in Namibia. And then this one for me, it's close to my heart. And this is actually what I did my PhD in, is exploring gullies in the Eastern Cape. You can see there's a lot going on over here, huge, massive gullies that exist in the area itself. And just to quickly take a minute or two to discuss what I did in my own research, this is a huge gully in the Eastern Cape that I studied. I looked at about 70 years of rainfall data and of historical satellite imagery just to see how the gully grew. And you can see the gully starting to encroach on some of the dams and the homesteads that are there in the rural Eastern Cape. This is near Tsolo. And what I did, I took a drone, we flew it up and down. And with the images that we got, I was able to create a digital elevation model, which just showed that this elevated area over here effectively channeled water into this gully. This gully is about 4 kilometers long. And with that, a lot of the sediments gets sort of dumped into the rivers nearby. And they wanted to build a dam downstream, and they were just worried that because of these gullies, that a lot of sediments has been placed into the rivers itself that would feed into the dam, and they were just worried that the lifespan of the dam might decrease over time as well. And with that, and with GIS, I was able to do some mapping. But this it's close to my heart just because I'm just seeing how the gully itself is effectively cutting the community in half. It's encroaching on burial grounds. In the time that I've walked through the gully, I've come across the carcasses of cows and sheep and even a dog. And this is why the very real impact of why what we can do in geography can help communities at a very local level, which I love. All right, just in terms of the qualification, for geography, at UNISA, we do not have an undergraduate degree in geography. Basically, you'll register for a BSc or a BA in environmental sciences, and you'll take geography as a major. And the courses that you have at first year, it will be your GGH 1501, 1502, 1503. These are your introductory modules. Then once you move to NQF level 6 or second year, this is where you'll choose any 4 of the offerings of the modules that we have, which I'll provide some information in a moment. And then at NQF level 7 level, you can choose any 5 of the 300 level modules. All these are very interesting. Basically, in our department, all modules are semester modules except for GGH 311. But just to briefly give you an idea of what our modules look like, at a first year or at a 100 level, we have introductory geographical perspective. So this is where we're taking the world in Africa, especially the global south, where we introduce students to geographic thinking and geographic principles. And these first 2 modules look at it both sort of from a mapping perspective. There's some geographical thought that we introduce students to, but those that are doing a BSc in environmental management will take this one as well. This provides us some additional information more from a physical geography perspective. And then once you've worked that in the second year, this is where the modules start focusing in on a variety of interesting topics. For example, the African Challenge. Excuse me. It's focusing on the human environmental challenges that Africa as a continent is currently facing. And then there's one on service provision, where we're looking at perspectives into dealing with the challenges we face in regarding the world problems, especially in how we can, and at least ourselves and the government, provide services to the communities around us. An important one is the maps and interpretation on how we create maps and interpret them. This is quite a fun one because it's a very visual subject. People in the environment, this is the module that I teach. Basically how we explore how people impact the environment, how the environment impacts people with a strong physical geography sense. And then there's environmental politics. And you can see that these are, that it gets very, use the word meaty. It can really sink your teeth into these topics here. There's a sustainable tourism course. We're looking at spatial sciences. This is where you get introduced to geographic information systems. And then fieldwork and spatial sciences will be an important one for those looking at doing surveying. And then at a third year module or 300 level, there's the states of the environment, which this is now refocusing very much on Southern Africa and South Africa, on our landscapes and the people in it, how it works, how it interacts, and the spatial economic development. This looks at the economic level and economic geographies of our country. But just to conclude, these are the kind of modules that you can explore. There's some more GIS at a third year level that you can do. And then this is quite a fun one to do. It's environmental principles. It's the signature course for the college. Basically, what's great about this, you really jump into you as an environmental citizen within your context, and how the course concludes with a portfolio of where you go in and you address some environmental issue, and then you present this for the lectures in a portfolio, and it's a very interesting course. All right, so but if you once you've got the BSc or BA in environmental management, with geography as a major, you can then apply for our BSc Honours in Geography course, which is really great. And there's basically 3 teaching modules plus a research module that gets taught. Basically, it's about 2 years that you can do this. And I highly recommend that those of you that have worked through the honours is to check out, see what's available in the departments in terms of a master, MSc in geography. This is where you can really focus in on some very interesting stuff. And as well, we do offer a PhD in the long term. All right, that's it just from my side. Thank you very much.
Just want to know if you overwintered there, because I also overwintered. So yeah, to meet an islander at a conference like this or workshop is very nice. Thank you, Prof.
Yes, myself, I haven't had the opportunity to go, but my supervisor, as well as my colleague, Prof. Dave Heading, they've both been down to the island, and I've heard some very epic stories from their trips. In fact, on the 20th of this month, Professor Heading is actually going down to the island again to do some more research over there. So myself, I haven't been. If the opportunity comes, maybe in a few years, I'd love to. But what is great is some opportunities. If you're looking, there's some funding available, and you're welcome to drop me a message directly. I'll just quickly put my email in the chat. You're welcome to drop me a question, a mail directly with regards to that, and I'll direct you to the right people to talk to if you're interested in that. Okay, cool. I see, you know, Prof. Heading. Yeah, he's a epic guy. Yeah, thanks. I hope that answers your question.
I'm really interested in permaculture, and some of the research that goes into that is checking the elevation of whatever sites you're going to be building on, to build on like water retention mechanisms. And I want to know if there's any resources that can make that easier, or do I have to get help maybe from somebody who is more qualified in such as yourself?
Yes, that's an interesting question. It's something that would be great if you're looking at doing an honors or a master's, because you can really dive deep into that, just to research and explore those interactions. And this, what you mentioned, is one of those points where geography does overlap, for example, with agriculture or conservation, because there's definitely an element on trying to manage these different perspectives. For example, you've got to have your permaculture aspect to it, but then being able to use GIS or applying information where you've got the experts that know how soils interact, or the rocks or the actual surfaces that you are working on. And that's where I think it'd be probably best is to speak to someone that is an expert within those fields. But I think in terms of studies or research, that's a real nice opportunity for you to dig into that. Sometimes, for example, in geography, you can have, for example, I had my master's, I had my one supervisor was a geomorphologist, but my other supervisor was a mathematician. So, it's a kind of thing that's at a master's or PhD level, you can get supervisors with different expertise to assist you or when guiding you in such a project where there's, a nice overlap between two different aspects. Does that answer your question?
Yes, kind of vaguely. What I'm getting is that I just need to do more research and find the people who will be able to help me, because I'm still an undergraduate student.
Yes.
But I'm just really interested in permaculture methods, and a lot of what you were saying kind of aligns with the principles that I've already found while looking.
Yes. My recommendation is, complete the qualification or degree that you're working on. And then from there, with your research at honors or master's level, you can then really focus in on that.
My question is it possible for me, if I have BA honors in environmental management, to actually register for any professional body? Maybe, for example, IPASA. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think with the professional bodies, there's often you're looking for, or what they're looking for is the qualification, but then your involvement in some sort of career in the natural sciences. But they have quite specific requirements for that I think you might have to just check out their website with that. Just myself, I haven't directly worked with them, so I can't give you a detailed answer on that. But if you drop me a mail, I can at least direct you in the right direction for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Please help me welcome our next speaker for the day, Dr. Malebo Matlala from the Department of Environmental Sciences. She is a senior lecturer at UNISA. Her work focuses on water quality monitoring, international water law, and ecohydrology, which are areas she's deeply passionate about, especially because of their real-life impact on people and the planet. Having grown up with a curiosity about how nature works, she now finds great joy in sharing that curiosity with others. Dr. Matlala is excited to connect with young minds and hopes to inspire students to see science not just as a subject, but as a powerful tool for change.
As you've mentioned, my name is Malebo Matlala, and I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Environmental Sciences. So what I'll try to do today is just to present the different qualifications that we have. So for students who are here with us today, your presentation or your qualification would fall in one of three program groups that we have in the department. We have the Environmental Science and Environmental Management Program Group, Ornamental Horticulture Program Group, as well as Nature Conservation. So I'll start with the Ornamental horticulture. So an ornamental horticulturist is somebody who works with plants. So a plant specialist focusing on the cultivation, design, and maintenance of decorative plants. So if you see the image on the right, that's an image from one of International Botanical Gardens. And this is some of the things that ornamental horticulturists work in. So their work is about making environments more beautiful, as you can see from the picture, to make the environment functional and enjoyable through the use of flowers, shrubs, trees, and landscape plants. So in the department, the qualifications that we offer under ornamental horticulture include a diploma in ornamental horticulture. I'm sure some of you are registered for the advanced diploma in ornamental horticulture and landscape. There's a postgrad diploma, an MSc, and we have now, I think for about less than 10 years though, a PhD. You can do a PhD in environmental horticulture. So those are the qualifications that we have in the program group of ornamental horticulture. And some of the things that you can do, as I mentioned in the previous slide about what the career paths of ornamental horticultures are. Mostly it's landscaping, so you'll be working in botanical gardens and parks, in garden centers. Those of you who are familiar with, I forgot the name, but a garden place somewhere in, so those places that are very famous for as wedding parks and wedding venues. Most of the landscape there is what is a result of what ornamental and landscape horticulturists do. And ornamental horticulturists and landscapers work, as I mentioned, in botanical gardens, and you can work in universities where you do research and you then teach students about ornamental horticulture. So the second program group is nature conservation. So those of you who are here registered for nature conservation, you would be either registered for the diploma, the advanced diploma, postgraduate diploma, and for some of you probably the MSc in nature conservation. We do not have a PhD in nature conservation as yet, but the department is working on the development and registration of a PhD in nature conservation. So a nature conservationist is someone who works to protect, manage, and restore natural environments and wildlife. So people in the Kruger National Park, those are your nature conservationists. So your goal as a nature conservationist is to ensure that the ecosystem, biodiversity, and natural resources are preserved not only for us, but for future generations, while also promoting the sustainable use of the environment. So if you are interested in a career in nature conservation, you would mostly focus on monitoring and protecting wildlife, plants, the natural environment, work or help with developing and implementation of conservation plans, rehabilitate damaged ecosystems, and also rehabilitate injured wildlife. So some of the colleagues in the department, I'm sorry about that. Some of the colleagues in the department, as I mentioned, you work at, you monitor wildlife. You also have the opportunity to educate communities about the importance of conservation. But some of my colleagues in the department who are nature conservationists, lecturers, and researchers, I have a colleague of mine who looks at the impact of elephant on grasslands. So that's an interesting look, and she only doesn't look at it from a single nature reserve perspective. She also does the global perspective. So she looks at how elephants have impacted grasslands in South Africa and how they impact biodiversity based on what they eat, their impact on the system in South Africa, in the SADC region, and also comparing it with other areas where elephants are located. And I have another colleague who looks at baboon behavior. I think yes, baboon behavior. So she locates, and she's very passionate about baboons and how they interact and behave and interact with human beings. And so there's other colleagues who are also working on looking at leopards and cheetahs, their nighttime vision. So we have colleagues who go out in the wild and in nature reserves, and they put cameras there. So when you get to watch one of those environmental programs, environmental shows, and you see how a lion or any wildlife sees, you see the vision, how it sees things at night. That's the work of people who are passionate and focus their research in nature conservation. So as I mentioned, we have colleagues who are monitoring leopards and cheetahs in the wild, looking at their movements. We have colleagues who do this, but more in the marine side. So you track whatever species or animals that you're interested in. So you can do it on land, in marine and freshwater. So that's mostly what nature conservationists do. And the last program group is the environmental science and environmental management program group. So in this this program group, we have quite a few qualifications. We have a BSc honors in environmental management. We also have a BA honors in environmental management, and then there's a BSc honors in environmental sciences. And then from these qualifications, we also have students who register for MSc environmental sciences or management, PhD environmental sciences or management. At the moment, the program group does not have an undergrad qualification. So what you see here, the BSc Environmental Sciences, this is a new qualification that we are working on developing. And hopefully, if everything goes well, the qualification will be offered from next year. So from next year, the program group will be able to take students who are interested in the BSc in Environmental Sciences as an undergraduate degree. So what the people in environmental sciences and environmental management mostly do is we study how the natural environment affects human activity. So we look at our interaction, and also look at our impact as humans on the natural environment. So in this field, you'll mostly be looking at ecosystems, our impact on ecosystems, air, water, and we also study soil. We combine what Professor Kempen has presented earlier. We mostly combine, we take what you learn in life sciences, what Prof. Kempen shared, and we're looking at it in an environment at a certain point in time. So combining life sciences and geography, then you get environmental sciences. So yeah, that's mostly environmental sciences in a nutshell. And if you want to do environmental management focuses on the practical application of policies, systems, and tools which can be used to minimize our environmental impact. So that's also what Prof. Anderson has touched on earlier, looking at environmental impact assessments. So this is, in a nutshell, what we do. So in environmental management and environmental sciences, mostly we look at how the environment has changed over time. So that's also one research group. You look at climate change, how climate change affects natural processes. We look at water quality. We look at soil quality, how environmental changes affect soil. We look at how human activities affect water, how it affects the air, how it affects soil. So some of the research areas that we have in environmental science, so anything you can think of as an environmental issue most probably falls within the environmental sciences and environmental management sphere. So to just give an example of some of the research areas that myself and the colleagues in the department look at, we have people who are working on air quality, we have people working on soil sciences, there's an interesting project that one of the professors in the department is looking at. He's looking at the impact of game drives on soil. So next time when you drive through Kruger National Park, you should remember that there's somebody who's actually looking at your impact while you're driving through Kruger National Park on the soil in Kruger National Park and how it interferes or interacts with everything else, the ecosystem in the Kruger National Park. And what I do, I'm an aquatic scientist, as I mentioned earlier, mostly in water sciences. So my field of study is looking at water quality. And what I do is mostly my role, or what I teach and what I research, is I'll go to a river, collect water samples. And if the image here, this image that you can see here, that's this one. That's a water quality monitoring image. So we would go to a river, Ukskei River, Crocodile River, any river that we're interested in. We collect water samples and we look at the water quality of that river. So when you collect water samples, you'll be getting the quality of that river at that point in time. So to try and see or study how the water quality has impacted biodiversity, would then also sometimes catch fish. So you look at the fish that's there, you look at their health, you look at the diversity. Sometimes we also look at macroinvertebrates. We also look at algae. We look at the plants within surrounding the rivers, and we are able to then come up with we're able to then identify some of the impacts that the river would have gone through. So just for example, if we were to look at fish, the type of fish that you find in a river will tell you some of the pollutants or contaminants that river has or has experienced. And now one thing that is being introduced is environmental DNA. So when you usually go to collect water samples, it becomes time consuming and very expensive. Having to go there, you need boats, especially if the system is big, you need boats to collect your fish, to collect everything. And you also need permits and a whole lot of things, because you can't just go around collecting fish. And yeah. So with environmental DNA, you can go collect a sample of water. This is this image here. So the small sample of water, you can collect that and analyze it, take it through ELISA and a few processes of environment, through a few processes of analysis, and it will be able, based on the DNA that you find in the sample, you can then identify some of the organisms that have passed through this sample or this river at a point in time. So to just to share an interesting example, one of the colleagues of mine was doing environmental DNA in tap water. So I'm not going to mention the area where she was collecting tap water, but she collected tap water in different areas. And when she did the analysis, the DNA that came out of there, it was very interesting. Whatever you can imagine, the wildest thing you can imagine, the DNA was found in that tap water. So that's mostly what we do, especially when we're doing water quality monitoring. So we look at water quality, we look at, is it safe for the environment? Is it safe for the people who probably don't have water and have to use this water, the people who do not have a water service and have to go to a river? So you look at that and you're able to then say this river is not safe, not only for drinking, but also for recreational purposes, because certain pollutants that you find they can be harmful, not necessarily in the short term, but also in the long term. So that's mostly what we do. And now we're also looking at the impact of microplastics in the environment, on human health, on public health. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's us in environmental sciences and environmental management. And some of the career opportunities here, as I've mentioned, you can be a hydrologist, a marine ecologist, you can be a lecturer like myself, but working or researching as an aquatic scientist. And yeah, the list is endless. I think whatever you find in the environment, you can study and you can build a career out of that. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much.
But I want to ask you, Doug, that I'm an ecologist by profession as well, worked in the marine space for some time as well. But I was quite interested when you mentioned the issue of water DNA because I've currently enrolled for my master's with UNISA. And so my project plan revolves around water DNA. So I just want to find out from you if you have historical data which you have collected, and is there any room for collaboration working towards that, because I'm about to start with my proposal quite soon. So just want to check if there is data, previous ones which we can build onto, and room for collaboration. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Nkateko, for that question. I guess the data will depend on the system that you're looking at, that you're working on. And yeah, there's always room for collaboration. I'll share my email address in the chat. But yeah, the data will depend on the specific site that you want to work on.
My question was just when I was navigating the career portal on my UNISA, another career path that I saw was environmental technologist, but I wasn't sure if there is a direct qualification that our university offers, or would I have to merge it with another qualification?
So you want to find out if there's a qualification on environmental technology?
Yes, and if there isn't, what other combination, what other what you call qualification could I combine with my environmental management to be able to go towards that career path?
So you currently registered for which qualification?
The bachelor's in environmental management.
Undergrad or honors?
It's undergrad.
So you registered within the BA or BSc environmental management?
Within the BA.
Okay. And you would like to then go into environmental technology? Yes, ma'am. Okay, I think that would depend on your undergrad qualifications. So, but once you've completed your undergrad, not qualifications, but your undergrad modules. So once you've done your undergrad modules, we have a lot of BSc students who complete their BSc qualification in geography and register for one of the honors qualifications we have. So we have a BSc honors in environmental management. You can register for that one. We also now have a BA honors in environmental management. You can register for that one. And depending on the subjects that you have, I'm not sure if you would qualify for this, but you have an option between the BA and the BSc honors in environmental management. And then for you to actually now get your foot into environmental technology, that will depend on the research project that you do at your honors level, because that will allow you to then venture into environmental technology, especially if you're thinking of carrying on into a master's or a PhD. But yeah, the most important thing would be the BSc or the BA honors in environmental management. And then the defining thing would then be your project, the research project that you registered for.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I did my BSc honors with UNISA back in 2016, and it was an environmental monitoring and modeling. which I would really love to do my master's on, but I remember then there was no option for monitoring and modeling. So I just want to ask, because I saw from one of the slides that BSc in environmental science is now going to be available at honors level. So we're going to have masters in environmental monitoring and modeling as well in any time soon. Thank you.
Okay, so if you've completed a BSc honors in monitoring and modeling, you can apply for a normal master's. You can apply for this MSc environmental sciences. We don't have a monitoring or modeling specific, but an MSc in environmental sciences. So what happens is once you register or you apply for an MSc, you then decide on the project that you would want to do. So in as much as it's an MSc in environmental sciences, you can have a project where you're looking at monitoring or you're looking at modeling. For example, I have a student who is doing an MSc in environmental sciences, and he's looking at changes, water quality variability over space and time, and trying to predict changes, looking at groundwater variability over time, and he's trying to predict how groundwater availability will change in the next 20 to 50 years if given how things are going now. So you don't necessarily have to wait for a qualification with the name monitoring and modeling, but you can apply and register for an MSc in environmental sciences.
I heard you saying that with ornamental horticulture, I can work at universities, but I wanted to check if the university is the only place that I can work at. I'm currently enrolled from Master of Science in Ornamental Horticulture. Thank you.
Okay, so I mentioned universities, and you can also work at, let me see, you can also work in botanical gardens, and we have colleagues who are working for private colleagues who left and went into private to work for private companies that look at landscaping. And you can work at ARC, you can work at any place that looks at the specific aspect of horticulture that you're looking at. So be it crop production, be it I'm not very familiar with a lot of ornamental horticulture aspects, but you don't necessarily have to work at universities. There are other areas where you can work.
My question is for someone who did a course or majored in life sciences, because I did biochemistry and physiology and currently doing my honors in biochemistry. Is it possible for one to branch into environmental sciences and, let's say, become or work in the waste management or work in water quality?
Yes. Remember, at some point I said environmental sciences and environmental management is almost a combination of life sciences or Prof. Kempen's presentation. If you were here when she was presenting Prof. Kempen's presentation, and then you take Prof. Kempen's qualifications, you put them in space and time, that would be Prof. Anderson's qualification. So it's a merger of those. For example, my undergrad qualification was biochemistry and zoology, and yet I'm in the Department of Environmental Sciences. My PhD is environmental sciences. So it depends on what you want. We have students also who have completed a BSc in biochemistry and microbiology, and they come and register for an honors in monitoring and modeling, or for an honors in environmental management. So it just depends on what you want to do. If you then feel that you want to do waste management or water quality, then your defining aspect would then be the research project that you do at your honors level. And even if you have a master's in biochemistry, you can still qualify to do if you have an honors in biochemistry, you still qualify to do a master's in environmental sciences. I had a student who had a BSc honors in microbiology, and she registered for an MSc in environmental sciences.
Our last speaker for today is Dr. Danisile Mtombeni. Dr. Mtombeni is a senior lecturer at UNISA Department of Agriculture and Animal Health. She received her honors degree in agribusiness management from the University of Venda, master's and PhD in agriculture from UNISA. She has supervised postgraduate research students' projects to completion and still supervising honors, masters, and PhD students' research projects. She is also involved in community engagement projects where she trains small-scale farmers on agribusiness skills and facilitates domestic farm animal health care and vaccination program.
So today's presentation will be looking at my own personal career, the career opportunities that are available in agriculture, and also the areas which are considered as a scarce skill in agriculture, and also the future trends in agricultural careers. Okay, you have already read my bio, but let me just illustrate a bit. So after receiving my honors in agribusiness management, I joined a private company for 2 years to be a junior consultant, where I dealt with environmental issues and also agricultural issues. By then I left to join UNISA as a junior lecturer, where I was able to do my master's and PhD. So I'm currently a senior lecturer in the Department of Agriculture and Animal Health, where I'm teaching undergrad students on modules that are related to agribusiness, agricultural economics, and agricultural management. My research interest or focus is mainly on impact of climate change in agriculture, informal market and marketing in agriculture, agribusiness analysis, and also the agricultural production economics. So by trade, I am an agricultural economist. So let's just first start with what we offer from our department. These are the programs, undergrad programs that we currently offer. The higher certificate in animal welfare, the diploma in agricultural management, the diploma in animal health, an advanced diploma in agricultural management, so the advanced diploma in animal health, and the BSc in 4 different streams, which are animal science, plant science, and agribusiness. I mean, there are 3, not 4. Agribusiness and management. Okay, these are not the only ones that we offer. We also have the postgraduate programs or studies in our department, where we have a postgrad diploma in agriculture, where you can choose to specialize in animal science, plant science, and also in agricultural management or agribusiness. Then we have the MSc degree in agriculture and also the PhD in agriculture. We also have the short learning programs in our department. So let me just go back just to say, I will just be quick here. This I've already explained. These are the undergrad qualifications that we offer, and these are the postgraduate programs or qualifications that we offer. Then these are the short learning programs that we offer. I think I was here. And then the short learning programs that we offer are designed specifically to enhance someone's knowledge, where you get a certificate at the end of it. It's not treated as a bridging course, as most of the students mistaken it to be, and it's not treated as a formal qualification where you can go maybe seek for employment, but it's this knowledge who is already in the field or interested in the field. Okay,
So those qualifications that I previously spoke about, they require different admission requirements. Then you can get that on the UNISA brochure according to the specific program that you want to enroll in. But you always bear in mind that for you to qualify in a university, you must be a post-matric and then also have a equivalence of NQF level 4, which is equivalent to matric. Okay. So as I stated, in our department, our streams of field are divided into these 4 streams: the animal science, the agribusiness or agricultural economics, or you can even feature in agricultural management, then the plant science, and the animal health. So these are the 4 pillars that I will further be discussing on, including all the careers that you can be interested in from this field. Okay, let me start with my own, the agricultural economics or agribusiness part of agriculture. So this part or this field of agriculture, it explains itself. So here you deal with the monetary part and the management part of agriculture. This is where you study topics like value chain, marketing, pricing, and also issues of land issues in South Africa. You know, we are in a state where we have some land relocation and distribution issue. So an agricultural economic studies are those dynamics around that. Okay, so for an example, what an agricultural economics do? And agricultural economics go to school for maybe more than 4 years. So I know all of us, we do go to our local, let me just give an example, supermarkets like Spar and ShopRite or Checkers. When you go there next time, look at the products, most especially the agricultural products or the agricultural processed products. And when you compare them, you will find that even when the prices differs, but they don't differ that much. For example, a box of cornflakes will be in a certain price range. Then when you go to the other one, it's still there. They don't differ that much. It's not that the supermarkets communicate to each other to say that let's put it in this range. There is an agricultural economics who study that the value chain of that certain product from the production to processing, if it's processed, until it's in the shop shelves, to determine the exact price that you must pay for that, featuring inflation and also tax and other component which can influence the prices. So these are usually done by what is called models. So an economics will go to school to learn that models in order to predict the prices. So the other part, which is the plant science. So also the plant science is also divided in according to the nature of the plants. For example, we have what is called fruit production. It's self-explained. This is the orchards that we have, where these are the farmers or the companies, big companies like, what do we call that one? The Ceres, the one which also process their fruits into juice. So these are also the big companies like ZZ2, which produce these fruits that we later get in the supermarkets. Okay. Then also we have the part which deals with vegetable production. So this vegetable production, I have also given an example of the ZZ2, which is the most popular company, which agricultural company which produces both fruits and vegetables. But there are still many farms which supplies the major supermarkets, and also they supply the major markets like Johannesburg agricultural markets with fruits and vegetables. Okay. And then also we have under plant science, we have what is called grain crops. These grain crops are things like your cereal, your maize, also your fiber crops, and also your oil crops. So there are so many crops. So once you enroll in plant science, that's when you will also know where to branch to, or if you want to specialize in a certain type of crop, whether it can be fruits, vegetables, or the grain crops. Okay, so now we also go on the part of agricultural management. Then agricultural management, this is even on its name, management. That's when you manage, you take care of the plants. You know, there is this trend now that people want to eat organic produced plants. So we have people who are dedicated, and studies which are dedicated in producing these organic vegetable or other fruits. Okay, then you'll also look at things like crop rotation, or when you deal with management, simply by saying that. And I used to see this when I was growing up, but I didn't know that there is a science on it. My grandmother, she will plant maize, and then she will plant with legumes. I didn't understand why she will do that. There is a science behind it, and these things have been studied that when you plant the both of two, the both of them, the other one contributes in oxygen or in carbon dioxide and oxygen fixation to help the other one grow efficiently. I never knew that. I will grow up seeing that practice. But later on, when I came to study agriculture, that's when I saw the science on it. Okay, then things like applying fertilizers. You just don't apply fertilizers in any season. There are seasons which you apply those fertilizers, and then the instructions are there on the fertilizers and how to apply those fertilizers. And before the fertilizers goes to the store or wherever you can purchase them, those fertilizers are made by agriculturalists who will study. There is an echo. It's disturbing me on my side. Okay, now it's okay. Who will study the type of the plants, or also the type of the insects which attacks those plants, in order to design a suitable chemical or fertilizers that can only harm that unwanted pest, but cannot harm the plant and cannot harm the people who consume that plant. So there is a study, there is a part of agriculture which deals with that. Okay. Then that links also to the plant protection. So the plant protection, where you manage the weed that attacks the agricultural crops, the diseases and the pests that attracts the agricultural crops. So there is a part of a study called entomology, where you study these insects or these hohos that attacks plants. So in order for you to come with pesticides to only kill those plants. So in those studies, you will have to learn on how does this hoho or this insect is like. That when it attacks the plant, does it pierce or does it lay eggs on it, or does it just stay there and eat the leaves, or it attacks the fruits, or it attacks the stem, in order for you to be able to know how to design a pest control to kill or target the specific insect. Okay. Then we'll move again to production systems. Most of us, we tend to move to the urban areas for job opportunities or maybe even studies, since the rural areas know there are less opportunities there. But with the urbanization or the moving to the urban area, sometimes it comes with challenges. For example, we don't have enough land to settle in. And then if you do obtain the enough land, it's costly in urban area versus the rural areas. So how do we produce our own food instead of always buying? Or how do I come with a farm here in an urban area in a small space where I don't have space? So we have something which is called hydroponics. I think you have seen it around the urban areas. Some people will plant their vegetables also on roofs. Some will even use tires and hang them on the walls. It's part of the hydroponics. Then we have what is called a greenhouse. A greenhouse, we have one here in I think it's not one. I think there are few. We have them here in our science campus, where sometimes, in agricultural crops, they thrive or they are seasonal. But you can plant them in that greenhouse, then you control the environment to suit your plants so that you get to harvest and you get to plant them at any seasons. And also the irrigation system. You can see the picture there down there. I think when you are moving around the N1, wherever you're going, you have seen things like this. So things like this are controlled automatically. So you could be sitting in your office or wherever you are, but you can be able to control the irrigation at the farm by just pressing a button. And that's where also agricultural engineering comes in. Okay. So now I think I have talked about a bit about that irrigation system, which links to the agricultural mechanization. So in agriculture, you have seen that we use sometimes the big tractors or equipments to plow like a vast of land. So you just don't go and operate a tractor without not knowing how to. So you must be trained to do that. And also these big machines, they come they come along with other things which you connect. So the mechanization part of it, you must learn about it, and then so that you can also know how to operate it, because these are dangerous machine. If something goes wrong, then we can say something else, which I don't even want to think about it. Okay. Then we come again to what we call a field we call post-harvesting and handling. And let's link this to agro-processing. Okay. Each and every time we enjoy in our breakfast, we enjoy a nice glass of fruit juice. In our afternoons, we can enjoy a glass of wine or something. So this is what we call, it's a part we called agro-processing. So what this means, it just means the processing of the original agricultural product. As I've seen, I've made an example of a juice. It can be an orange to an orange juice or an apple to an apple juice. We have the milling ones, which I think Millie Meal is a staple food in South Africa, where from the grain itself, then it's been milled to a powder, the wheat, where it's been milled to a powder, and further on we get to produced bread, which we eat on a daily basis, or other things which comes from the agricultural products. So that's what is called agro-processing, which is a field under agriculture. Okay, let's again move to animal science. Globally, somewhere in the world, they still call it animal husbandry. So don't be confused when someone talks about animal husbandry and animal science. It's the same thing. So this is the part of agriculture which deals with animal breeding, animal physiology, and animal nutrition. You know that there is what is called a ration. A ration simply means that it's feeds which are designed specifically for animals. Chicken, they've got their own feeds that you buy from agricultural store. Pigs, they also have that. You can even buy hay or you buy other supplements for your cattle. Same applies to pigs and other domestic animals. So who produces those feeds for animals? So this would be an animal scientist who deals with animal nutrition. So because this is a science degree, so you need to have science, you will need to be able to have math so that you can calculate, so that you know that when we say it's in a life cycle of a chicken, it's still a chick. We don't feed it the same or the similar nutrients compared to a grown-up chicken. Same applies with also the pigs. So we also have what we call animal breeding. So you have, I'm not sure, but if you do attend agricultural shows, you will find a bull where they mix two different breeds to come up with one breed. You may find that it's because the other breed gives more milk, and the other breed is more tolerant to hot or warmer areas. So they breed those two in order to come with one cattle or one breed which will give more milk and also be tolerant into warm areas. And bear it in mind that when they are breeding or when they are combining those, they don't most of the time they don't combine them physically. What they do, they practice what is called artificial insemination, which means that they will collect sperm cells from the bull and then artificially transfer them into the cow. So those things, they need science still, and it's a part where someone can study and also specialize in animal reproduction, the same as they can specialize in animal nutrition. Okay. Then we also have another field. This is animal health. So the animal health, it's concerned with taking care of the animal. These are the doctors of the animal. These are the people who prescribe medications to control disease in animals, domestic animals. And they also apply techniques for us to take care of the animals. These people also write prescription to animals according to, as a person will get a prescription from a doctor to say this animal has a lack of vitamins or that and that. So if they take this prescription, then they will be fattened, they will be okay, right? So these are some of the careers that are in that you can you can consider in agriculture. These are just the sum that I can come up with. So you can go through the list. You can see the different types. You can see you can be an animal scientist. I have already explained that. You can be a horticultural or hydroponic specialist. You can be an entomologist, where you look at the specific hohos that attacks agricultural plants. You can be a soil scientist, an animal scientist, a farm manager, laboratory technician, an agricultural economist, an animal health technician. There are a lot of them. Some of them I didn't even mention, an animal breather. So these are some of them that are more popular, and then you can be able to also follow them. Okay, so where is this mostly practiced? Where can you work with agricultural qualifications? You can work for non-organization, government organization as project managers. You can work for the Department of Agriculture, and you can work for commodities, commodity organizations such as sugarcane industry, things like company like Selati or other fertilizers company, seed companies like your Pioneer and Sakata, the food an agricultural organization, which is a worldwide organization. You can be you can work under research institutions such as your ARC, and you can be self-employed. You manage your own farm. You will have acquired all the expertise to do so, or you can become a consultant, where people or companies can consult from you. You can also work for Department of Education, where you teach this agriculture. You can work for agribusiness organization, agricultural research facilities. There's South African standard SABS, South African SABS, you know, where they make they ferment and brew the beer, because the beer is fermented from what? From the wheat. So you can also be a food scientist who does that. You can work for research councils, or you can just be like me and work for a university, where you are a researcher and you also teach other upcoming agriculturists on the practices of agriculture. So these are just a few of the places that agriculturists can work on or can practice their careers. Okay. So we currently have what is called a scarce skill in agriculture. So a scarce skill simply means that these are areas that are lacking research, and also they are lacking people who are involved in. For example, mine and agricultural economics. Even though now I'm confident about it, because I get to train. I can see more students being interested on it. I get to train more students, so I'm sure by the time in the future we'll have a bit more agricultural economics. Because I remember on my final year class, that was a long time ago. I think we're about 3 students who qualified for that year, and the previous year there were only 4 students. So now I can see the trend is changing. The agricultural biotechnology, and also the bioresource agricultural engineering. I think it's a scarce skill. Not it has not been that there are no lot of people in that career. Food science and technology, and also the veterinary science that I spoke about, the doctors for the domestic animals. Then also the viticulture part of it. The viticulture part of it, it's more focused on the wine production in part of agriculture. I've seen people now being interested in, but it's not more people are interested in. Then also the grassland science. I think this links more to what Dr. Matlala presented on about the NatureCon. So this is still a scarce skill under agriculture. So let's look at the future trends. In future, what is mostly likely to happen in the field of agriculture? There is what we call smart farming. Things like that I discussed on things like hydroponics, our greenhouse where you can control the environment. Those are what we call smart farming. The drones and the robots in agriculture. I think I have also illustrated that a bit where I spoke about you can control some machineries remotely, where you are somewhere else and then the machine is in the field, you can just control it. Meat culturing, the desert farming, seawater farming, and the nanotechnology. So these are something which are of the future trends. I've seen a bit there and there, agriculture being invested in. Okay. No, thank you very much.
And I actually have, I think, 3 questions to ask. Firstly, what is the stream to get to agricultural engineering? Like I'm doing a BSc now in agriculture, and I'm trying to figure out, would I need to then do another degree to supplement it that is an engineering degree? Number 2, if you can expand on desert farming, or maybe give some examples about projects like that. And also if you have any advice for SMME startup farming, like how can we break into the industry as young Black boys who don't have the capital to buy a farm? Thank you, that's all.
And agricultural engineering, it's a qualification on its own. So for now, UNISA doesn't offer that, but there are other major universities in South Africa that offers that. So meaning that if you've already started in another qualifications from agriculture, it's not bad. You can later supplement it. I'm hoping that as I explained that, I think I explained that we have a short learning programs. I'm hoping that in future, or when you do your research, you find those short learning programs which will enhance your knowledge, because you already have knowledge in agriculture, so that it will only add the engineering aspects on it. Okay. Then the desert farming. They are self-explanatory. So this is not what we do here in not yet here in the university. This is something which is being practiced somewhere where there are deserts or like they don't have favorable vegetation or land. As South Africa, we are blessed with good land. So those kind of areas, they practice what is called there's something similar to hydroponics, to plant their own crops, and sometimes they also outsource suitable soils from somewhere and keep it in a panel, and then they plant it, but it's in a desert where the soil is not favorable for farming. Okay, so for SMEs to break in, what I will say is that whatever commodity that that's the first thing, whatever commodity that you think of producing, first get a market. Be sure that you have a market for it, because there is no use for you to be producing maybe cabbage and you don't have a market for it. So you need, I will advise for you to first get a market for it, so that as soon as you have produced what you need to be produced, and that will also inform you on the quantity of what you need to produce, so that you know where who you are supplying or where to take it to. Because bear it in mind that most agricultural products easily perishable. You can't keep cash crops for a long time after harvesting. So to prevent post-harvest losses, so first get a market. So in terms of acquiring of land, I've seen many programs from the Department of Agriculture which assist small SMEs with land, with equipment such as seeds and also tractors, as small as seeds to your tractors. So I will say do your research and also consult the Department of Agriculture just to find out on what programs they are running to assist the SMEs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. I think with the desert farming, I was thinking more of like land restoration in terms of where there's been desertification or the environment has been damaged. I thought it was going towards that part. And yeah, I just want to ask also if you think a non-traditional approach in terms of growing produce in a more sustainable way, trying to minimize inorganic compounds, trying to best utilize water and planting various crops in the same place as opposed to doing a monoculture system. Is that economically viable? Because as much as we know that it might be the best for the planet, in this stage, can that do something?
Yeah, that's right. What you're saying, it's economically viable, and then you are still you are an agricultural student. I think I heard so. So these are the parts that you learn also in your qualification on how to go about it. For example, I think I have illustrated that you just don't intercrop or you just don't mix crop. You look at the benefit of doing that. And then I'm confident, I know that the syllabus that you are busy with equips you that very well with also with all the techniques and the practical part of it. So what I will advise is sometimes just you don't rely much on saying that this is the traditional way how to. Sometimes you can just experiment, do what you feel like it will serve you like on cost effectively, or with the water, the time, and you are allowed to do that so that at the end of the day, as a student, you if it works, you come with recommendations to say that I did this, which is different to that. It worked, so that you can inform others to follow the same path. If it doesn't work, still, it's not a loss. You can also report back to say this didn't work, so don't try it, or if you try it, just see how to minimize the risk. Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask, I'm currently in my third year of animal science and looking forward to next year doing my honors, but I'm not sure in which direction I should approach it, whether breeding, physiology, or nutrition. Going market related at the moment, or whatever is needed more in the field, which one would you suggest?
Oh, that's a difficult question for me because they are all needed. So this will depend on which one are you passionate more about. Remember, when you choose a career, there's something which you will spend your whole time doing it. Just go with what you're passionate about, because remember, in our field is a very special field, because look, whether you are an engineer, you are a medical doctor, or you are a student, you work, you don't work, at the end of the day, you must eat. So we need to produce this food anyhow. So anyhow you go, you will be contributing. So it's okay. And featuring that, the the world population is growing each and every day. So I don't think anyhow anyhow you choose, you'll be lost. You're still on the right track. So just go with your patient and all the best.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And then if we would like to gain some hours of experience, is there certain companies that you could suggest that we approach? It doesn't necessarily need to be in South Africa, but companies that you might know of that we can approach gaining some experience while we study?
Yes, I know of companies and farms and also the Department of Agriculture. They usually I'm really not sure what time, but these things are communicated in social medias, in newspapers, that there are what we called internships or work integrated learning programs. So I think you just have to be on the lookout of that. But I know the one specifically for us is AgriSeta. So you must check their website most of the time. They do offer these programs for in training student. So just consider the AgriSeta website. They sometimes give, I think twice a year, gives out calls to assist students.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Deborah, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Doctor, I just wanted to find out, I'm a fourth year final student in the plant science stream, and I'm very interested in extension work. I think that's something that I'd be interested in, but I'm not sure how to go about pursuing a career in extension work, or where I should look, or what I should expect as I look to follow that career path.
Okay, you are really in a good field for that, and also considering that you are under plant science. So you know what extension officer do. The extension officer, they service the farmers according to where they are placed. So the most extension officers work for the government, but they're sometimes called agricultural advisors, even though they do extension work. So just do your research on what they really do in detail. And then I know the best employer for the extension officer will be the Department of Agriculture, which will allocate you to a region with farmers who you can work with and assist. So for you, because you will be a specialist in plant science, so you'll be advising the plant science experts. So the things that you do in your classroom, the techniques, and also what you do in your practicals, the research that you see that is upcoming, your research. So that's what you're going to apply to the farmers that you'll be allocated to. I hope it answers your question.
It does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm currently doing BA in environmental management. Let's say I want to pursue a career in the field of where we are doing breeding animals like veterinary science. So I would like to know the kind of path that I should take academically.
Okay, no, thank you. Which year are you doing currently?
Second year.
Second year. Okay, I'm really not sure of the curriculum for environmental sciences, if it's compatible with the agriculture, but I'm sure that for you to have qualified for environmental sciences, you will qualify it also in our animal health program. So it's not late, but it means that you have now to start a new qualification on its own, because when I look at it, the two are not related.
To wrap up today's workshop, Mr. Kagiso Mekwa will now deliver the closing and vote of thanks. Mr. Mekwa is a student counselor in the Gauteng region based at Florida Science Campus.
I'm really humbled by the presentations from different speakers, from our colleagues, our partners, our lecturers and people in the industry. So we are really humbled, and to also be working with our students, because this is for you students. This is not our workshop, but this is your workshop. So we started this program on a high note. Before I go far, Ms. Madeleine just indicated that we are not done. We're still continuing tomorrow with other speakers. There might be other areas that you did not hear about today, especially about the registration professions like your councils, Department of Agriculture, and other departments. So please do make sure that you don't miss tomorrow's session as well. And also on the 24th of this month, we will be having career exhibition on campus. We apologize to those of you are very far from the campus who will not be able to make it. But if you are able to make it, please do drop by and then come link up with people in the industry and then see what they are doing. And I'm excited by your engagement with our speakers from the start to the end, when you were asking questions about your careers and you realizing actually where you are. That seeks to say that you should also visit your student counseling department in all the campuses for your career progression and for your career pathing, to know that what you are studying towards or what you want to achieve ultimately is linked with the qualification that you are doing. We don't want you to be in the wrong bus, because if you take the wrong bus, it means that it will take you to the wrong destination. So if you want to go to Cape Town, you want to go to Durban, make sure that you take the right bus, which is the right qualification. Ms. Mabua, thank you so much for welcoming and opening the event and putting our students at ease also with our speakers. Prof. Kempen, we really appreciate from Department of Life and Consumer Sciences with the knowledge that you share, that you don't only deal with consumption, but you're dealing with hospitality, you're dealing with food industry and fashion and other things that we never thought we know about. Prof. Ryan Anderson, thank you so much. Talking about the spatial and time and every other thing related to geography out there. We really appreciate that there's so much that we don't know. I think it touches also on the issues of climate change and other things. Dr. Malebo Matlala from Department of Environmental Sciences, thank you so much for your presentation with Dr. Danisile Mtombeni, sharing your knowledge and clarifying questions of our students about the employment industry out there in agriculture, in animal health, to know where we should take our animals to, what career specializations we can take. With that said, I just want to thank all our speakers for the effort that you put into your presentations. Your collaboration with us as student counseling is close to none. So we really appreciate you. We are based on the science campus. To our students who are coming to do your practicals on campus, to do your practicals and to do your research, please do drop by a student counseling at Papa Building when you're around campus. But above all, we have all student counseling departments or offices in all the Gauteng region offices, from the Vaal campus, Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, Davidson campus, Florida, and also Sunnyside. So we are looking to hosting you in future, and we know that we are in good hands. We wake up every day having something to eat, having something to wear because of agriculture. My car this morning was running very well because of people who are doing biofuels. Thank you so much, colleagues. And with that said, I just want to thank the program director for the well-run session. Ms. Madalani, let me take this opportunity back to you and say thank you. Can you please give a round of applause to Ms. Madalani and all our speakers to say so much. Thank you so much for the efforts and for the energy that you put in there. Before I go, program director, I think someone wanted to clap hands, but they raised their hand, Nkateko. But I just want to say thank you so much. Let's meet again tomorrow and connect online. Nkateko will reserve your hand for tomorrow, and wishing you all the best. Thank you so much.